Hey, what's up guys? This is Balla24. I'm bringing you another Black Ops gameplay, and this time I'm playing Domination on Array. I was actually about to say Summit, but that would have definitely been wrong. Snow maps get me confused sometimes. Anyways, to start off, I just want to say I am kind of sorry. I'm apologizing that I have not posted a video for the last week. I spent this last week really kind of just preparing and practicing for Snipinator Sniper Tournament, which took place on Saturday. And unfortunately, I did not do so well. To be perfectly honest, I failed miserably. I lost in the first round, and I really can't go into more detail about that because Snipinator wants to be able to just have all the results on his channel, so you have to see his video to see exactly how it went. But all I can really say is that I did lose in the first round, so I'm sorry guys if I didn't live up to your expectations, but in the end, the tournament was just for fun. It was just to get a bunch of the best possible snipers together and have a great time. And really, I mean, it was a grouping made up of some of the best snipers there are, all in one group. So honestly, I just feel honored to be considered into that category, to be even involved with those guys. So I really do appreciate being involved in that. And anyways, the topic that I wanted to discuss this video was does the kill-death ratio, does your KD really matter? And I know it's a fairly controversial topic because some people would say that KD is extremely important. You know, people might yell at you on Xbox Live or on the PSN network if your KD is like 1.2 or something and they say, oh, it needs to be above 2, whatever it may be. Anyways, I just wanted to give you guys kind of my whole take on it, what I view KD as and how important it is. And to give you guys kind of an idea, that pretty much what I would have to say is that my own opinion on KD, on whether or not it's important, I know it's going to say it's going to be kind of contradictory, but I feel yes and no as far as how it's important, and you know, I'll explain exactly what I mean by that. And for the most part, I feel like KD is really not that important. It's something that I just don't see as being completely necessary, because let's say for example, I mean, in my mind there are two different types of KD. There's your combat record KD and then there's your in-game KD, and those are two completely separate things in my opinion. And your combat record KD, which is, you know, what people see on your stats when they look at your combat record, they can see what it may be. And in my opinion, it really is completely useless in your combat record because it does nothing other than kind of show off and attempt to show off what you want people to see, how good you are, how you want to portray yourself as being how good you are. It really doesn't do anything as far as helping your team, helping you win, because all it is just a number in your stats. And that's one reason why I don't feel that a KD is that important. However, with that being said, I also would say that KD isn't as important depending on the game modes that you play. And what I mean by that is, if you play a more objective-based game mode, odds are, if you are playing the objective, that your KD would not be as high as if you were playing something else where it was pretty necessary to have a high KD. And what I mean by that, and this is what kind of brings me into what I meant by I felt like certain aspects of having a high KD or having a good KD are important. Because in my opinion, there's 3 game modes where KD actually does matter. And the reason that it does matter is because your kills and deaths are directly related to giving the other team points. And those 3 game modes are Team Deathmatch, Free For All, and Search and Destroy. And the reason I say that KD is important in those game modes is because when, let's say for example, you're in a game of Team Deathmatch and you go positive. So in other words, you have more kills than you have deaths. Let's say you go, for example, 15-7. Then you got 15 kills and you gave the other team 7 kills, which meant that you helped your team by a total of 8 kills. You gave your team 8 more points than you gave the other team. And that's how you helped your team, by having a good KD, by having a positive KD. However, this is one instance where I also say that KD is important because it can also hurt your team. So if the inverse is true, I said if you went 15-7, well, if you did the opposite, if you went 7-15, then you're hurting your team at that point because you're giving the other team 8 more points that they wouldn't have had because your KD is directly related to how many points the other team has. You know, I hope you guys understand what I mean by that, but that is essentially what I meant by as far as whether or not your KD is important, and it is in those game modes. And then another reason why I said search and destroy is even though it does not directly give the other team points, what it does do is it makes it that much harder for the people on your team to succeed, because when you die in search and destroy, you don't respawn until the next round. So each time you die, you put the remaining members of your team at a disadvantage, and they're now matched up against higher odds by going against higher numbers of people in the other team. And with that also being said, I guess the same kind of concept would apply to a game like Capture the Flag, where there's a respawn delay, or really any type of game where there's a respawn delay, because when you die, it means that there's a certain amount of time that that your team is at a disadvantage, and that they have to wait for you to come back in order to be fighting on equal terms again. And so those were my reasons as far as why I think KD is important in those modes. And it can be important in, you know, objective-based modes as well, because, I mean, even though I said that it directly gives your team points in game modes like Team Deathmatch, Free-for-All, and things like that, what happens in other game modes, especially in objective-based game modes, even though they're not based directly on how many kills and deaths you get, that can still indirectly have an effect on how well your team can perform. If you're constantly getting a lot of kills but not a lot of deaths, then that means you're forcing the other team to respawn back in their spawn and take more time away from them from trying to play for the objective. So let's say in a game mode like Domination, where if you have a team spawned, or if you have a team, for example on this map, if you have them trapped at C, and if you keep killing the other team while they're trying to capture B or while they're trying to capture A, they're going to end up having to respawn all the way on the other side of the map and take all that extra time to get back to a point where they're actually able to play the objective again. So by getting a lot of kills and killing the other team, you are still helping your team, and having your good high KD in that sense can be a way as interpreted to helping your team. Now, I'm not saying that as an excuse for people to just go kill whore and get a ton of kills and completely ignore the objective, because as you noticed here, I spent a lot of time hovering around B, because just in case I needed to, I could always run back and defend the flag. And that's one thing that I would always stress in objective game modes, is that no matter what your KD is, as long as you're trying to help your team, as long as you're playing the objective in order to help your team, then your KD really is irrelevant in objective game modes. So again, guys, I ran out of time. I kind of hope I didn't repeat myself too much. I didn't ramble too much. But I just want to give you guys my quick opinion on how I felt KD affected Black Ops, how it affected your game, and the importance of it. So as always, please leave me your comments, suggestions, any tips you might have for me, and thank you again for watching. This is Bala24, and I'm out.
Good job, comrades. We are done.